welcome back to C2 Novel and Vocab Week 11. And this video is for our novel. In this video, we'll be going over difficult phrases from our novel. And this is to help with your cultural fluency. By becoming familiarized with different slang and colloquialisms, students, you will be able to relate to the novel more and incorporate, which means to use, these phrases to convey and show your ideas more precisely. And for this video, we'll be going over James of the Giant Peach, chapters 29 to 39. And I'm so sad because it is the last segment of our novel. It was such a good book, right? It was filled with adventure and so many things happening. So please, if you don't already, go ahead and get your novel book. And if you already have it, let's turn to our first quote. Please turn with me to page 113, and that is the first page of chapter 29. And I will start from, let's start from the third indent, okay? So the third big paragraph, it says, "The old green grasshopper reached out and touched him carefully on the stomach. But how could it possibly have dried so quickly?" he asked. "It's rainbow paint," James answered. "Rainbow paint dries very quick and very hard." "I detest paint," Miss Spider announced. "It frightens me. It reminds me of Aunt Spiker. The late Aunt Spiker, I mean, because the last time she painted her kitchen ceiling, my poor darling grandmother stepped into it by mistake when it was still wet, and there she stuck." But first, let's go over the late Aunt Spiker. What does this mean? Was Aunt Spiker late for something? Was she running late? Is she behind schedule? No. Here, the word late means that Aunt Spiker has passed away. Remember, the peach had rolled over her, so she's now dead. This is a common way to refer to someone who has died, or it is often used in formal or respectful conversations. So instead of just saying, "Oh yeah, remember grandma?" Instead of saying just grandma, we'll say, "Oh, late grandma," because it's showing that grandma had passed away. But as you can see here, late is kind of tilted. This is called italicized. It is italicized because it is meant to emphasize that Aunt Spiker is no longer alive, adding a bit of irony and a little bit of humor too. It's to remind the readers that the character is dead, and even though the speaker casually brings her up in conversation. So Aunt Spiker is not alive, it's just reminding you that she had died. So someone might say, "I was going through the late Mr. Jones's records," meaning you're showing that you're going through someone else's records or their information, but they had passed away. And here, as you can see, I have some pictures, as you may have seen, of old ancestors or great-great-great-grandfathers or great-great-grandmothers. We have pictures like this to show that they have passed away. Okay? The late Aunt Spiker. So this does not mean she's behind schedule and that she's running late. No. Very different. Let's go to page 116. And you know what? There's no idiom here or something that's difficult to understand. But I just love the way that Roald Dahl wrote this paragraph. So I want us to look at the last paragraph on page 116, and we're going to read it together. And I'm going to just have fun reading it with you, okay? It says, 3 seconds later, the hole underneath of the cloud seemed to split and burst open like a paper bag. And then out came the water. So the cloud opened up. It's like if this was the cloud, it just opened and all this water just whoosh. They saw it coming. It was quite easy to see because it wasn't just raindrops. It wasn't raindrops at all. It was a great solid mass of water that might have been a lake or a whole ocean dropping out of the sky on top of them. And down it came, down and down and down, crashing first onto the seagulls and then onto the peach itself, while the poor travelers shrieked with fear and groped around frantically for something to catch hold of. The peach stem, the silk strings, anything that they could find. So they're trying to find something to hold so they don't get washed away with the rain. And all the time, so our quote here, and all the time, the water came pouring and roaring down upon them, bouncing and smashing and sloshing and slashing and swashing and swirling and surging and whirling and gurgling and gushing and rushing and rushing. And it was like being pinned down underneath the biggest waterfall in the world. So, this has really nothing. It's not a difficult phrase from the novel. However, I did want to just point out how fun Roald Dahl had written this sentence, or this paragraph, sorry. He chose so many different types of verbs like pouring and roaring, bouncing, smashing, all these fun words. So I just want to remind you, not for like our academic essays at MI where we're writing persuasive essays, but when you're writing something like maybe your diary, it's always fun to be a bit creative with them and add all of these different words. He wanted to show, Roald Dahl, the author, wanted to use dynamic verbs to describe the movement of water, just so that we can create a vivid imagery of what was actually happening. And all this basically is showing how overwhelming the water from the cloudmen actually were. So as you can see here, I just have a bucket going down and a whoosh of water here. It was just fun. Now, let's go to 123. 123. I'm going to start in the beginning of chapter 33. Are you ready? Far below them in the city of New York, something like pandemonium was breaking out. A great round ball was as big as a house had been sighted hovering high up in the sky over the very center of Manhattan. And I quote, and the cry had gone up that it was an enormous bomb sent over by another country to blow the whole city into smithereens. Here, what does it mean that the cry had gone up? Do I cry and it went up? What does that mean? The cry had gone up. Here, this phrase, cry had gone up, means that people were shouting and making a public outcry. The word here, up, refers to the idea that the voices of the people are rising up into the air as more people join in the panic and alarm. As you can see in my pictures here, usually when you're crying, you don't just go, be like, bah, and you look up, right? When you're, I don't know about right now, but when you're a baby or when you're a toddler or when you were younger, I'm sure you're like, and cried. Even this man, he's not a baby, but he's just shouting. He's like, why? So the cry had gone up. It emphasizes that this is not just a few people panicking. There's widespread alarm. So everyone in New York was going crazy and they're very scared. And their voices, metaphorically, are rising and spreading throughout the city. So you might say, as an example, a cry went up from the crowd when everyone was yelling at the same time. Okay? But now, let me go to the next one, where it says smithereens. You may have not heard of this word before, but smithereens is a word meaning tiny, small parts of or pieces, often used to describe something that has been violently destroyed. In this case, it means that the bomb is expected to blow up the city into small bits, but is it really a bomb? No, it's just a peach. Here, the word smithereens is playful, and it's an exaggerated way of describing a complete and total destruction. It adds to the dramatic and kind of chaotic feel of the sentence. So here, as you can see on my picture, there is an explosion, and all of these little rock parts were the smithereens. It was once a big thing, but it was blown up into smithereens. Very good. So cry had gone up and smithereens. 2 on one page. 2 in one sentence. Now, let's go to page 127. Oh no, look at how sad they look. 127. Everyone there? I'm going to start from the second paragraph of chapter 35. It's quite long, but I'll try to read quickly through it. There aren't that many idioms in this video, so actually I'm going to take my time. Chapter 35, second paragraph. Ready? It says, faster and faster it fell, down and down and down, racing closer and closer to the houses and streets below, where it would surely smash into a million pieces when it hit. So remember, the plane just went whoosh, and it cut all the strings, and now the peaches falling down. And all the way along Fifth Avenue and Madison Avenue, and along all the streets of the city, people who had not yet reached the underground shelters looked up and saw it coming. And they stopped running and stood there, staring in a bit of stupor, vocabulary word, at what they thought was the biggest bomb in the world falling out of the sky onto their heads. A few women screamed. Others knelt down on the sidewalks and began praying. Strong men turned to one another and said things like, I guess this is it, Joe, and goodbye, everybody, goodbye. And for the next 30 seconds, the whole city held its breath, waiting for the end to come. So this is when they think that the peach is a big bomb that's coming down from the sky. But what does it mean here? I guess this is it. I guess this is it. This phrase means that the men believe that they are about to face the end of the world, or that something serious is about to happen, with the peach being the bomb that's going to blow up the city into smithereens. But it's not. But anyways, I guess this is it. This is an expression of just giving up and accepting it, often used in the face of danger and in the final stages. In this context, the men are expecting something disastrous to happen, so they don't think that they're going to survive. So the simplicity of this phrase reflects more of a sad part of them just kind of giving up. In movies, characters might say, I guess this is it, when they believe they're facing the end of a battle or even the end of their lives, like this part in our book, such as in action or in other films, when characters are about to face their final challenge. So as you can see here, my 2 pictures, they have probably just given up. Waving a white flag also means giving up here. So it's just saying, I guess this is it, Joe. Goodbye. Nice knowing you. And they're just waiting to have the peach bomb explode. I guess this is it. So next time when you face some kind of trouble and you just kind of give up, you're just like, I guess this is it. Page 131. Now look at my video here. Ooh, it's bubbling and boiling. What is this? Yes, it's a stew, which is a thick type of soup. Here they are, mixing it. But let us now go to page 131 and stop watching the little video. 131, at the bottom, okay? I'm going to start from what on earth? So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 indents up from the bottom. Ready? What on earth are they talking about? The old green grasshopper said to the centipede. Search me, the centipede answered, but they seem to be in an awful stew about something. What does that mean? They're in an awful stew? Were the police and firefighters in a soup? No. They were not inside a soup or a stew. But here, to be in an awful stew means that in a state of great worry, confusion, or agitation. They're just like, what? Sorry, excuse me. The word stew in this context suggests someone who is mentally and emotionally simmering, boiling like our video, with anxiety and worry. Kind of like the ingredients simmering in a pot, as we just saw, boiling. Here, why do we use the word stew though? Stew as a food involves simmering and boiling ingredients for a long time, which metaphorically suggests that someone is stewing or worrying over something for a long time. It's as if their thoughts and worries are bubbling up inside them or in their heads, and they're just so worried about everything. So here, it really means that the firefighters and the policemen were in a stew because they were worried about what these creatures were coming out of this peach. So when can we use this? Example. If someone is pacing back and forth, if they're walking one way, the other way, one way, and the other way, back and forth, and they're nervous about a test, you might say, oh, he's in quite a stew about his test, meaning he's not really inside of a soup, meaning he's in a stew. He's worried about his upcoming test. To be in a stew. What things put you in a stew? For example, for me, I know. When my mom says that she's going to come over, but I didn't clean the house, I am in a stew. I start worrying and panicking and start crazy cleaning. Same page, 131. I hope you didn't close your book. Let's continue from where I left off, wherewith we said, search me. The centipede answered, but they seem to be in an awful stew about something, where our past quote just ended. Okay, let's continue. Then Miss Spider's large, black, murderous-looking head, which to a stranger was probably the most terrifying of all, appeared next to the grasshoppers. Snakes and ladders, yelled the head of the fire department. We are finished now. It's a giant scorpula. What's a scorpula? I'm not really sure what that is. I think it's a scorpion and a tarantula put together. But here, what is snakes and ladders? Is it really, did he see Miss Spider's head come out and think that it was a snake? Or that her head was a ladder? Snakes and Ladders is actually a popular board game. Kind of like this picture here. You have to roll a dice and you go 1, 2, 3, and then the snake can make you go, oh no, I think the ladder makes you go down, but then the snake makes you go back up. I forget. But one is good and one is bad. I don't know. The ladders make you go forward and you can jump. So if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, and you go straight to 9, and the winner is whoever gets to the finish. But the snake is one that makes you go back up. Okay? Phew. So they're bad luck. Here, the phrase expresses the feeling of the situation of something that's unpredictable, just like this game. So the speaker here, this head of the fire department, feel like they've had some bad luck, like falling down with a snake, leading to the next statement of doom. So here, he's like, snakes and ladders. So another creature came up, basically saying, oh my goodness, like, oh no. It's just a saying that you may say. Not many people say this, however, it is in reference to the game Snakes and Ladders. Again, here, there's another one. It says, we are finished now. Kind of like the one before where we had, I guess this is it. Similar. So it says, we are finished now. Meaning, are they, what are they done with? Are they finished taking a test? Are they finished with guessing what other creatures are going to come out? What does this mean here? This phrase means that the speaker believes that there is no way out of their current situation and their problem, and they are doomed. It's a very dramatic saying of being defeated. The head of the fire department says this because he feels that whatever problem that they're facing has reached to a point where they can't fix it, and that they're certain that things are going to end badly. So not only did they see the centipede and grasshopper, but now they see the spider, and they're like, oh no, we're finished. Meaning, oh no, we're going to die because of all these different creatures coming out of the peach. So, an example. When can we use this? Like a sports team losing a game by a large margin. Say that the game is from like 1 to 15. The coach might say, okay, you guys, we're finished now. Just acknowledging that their chances of winning is, meaning it's done. We're finished. We won't be able to win. 1 to 15, we just lose. We're finished now. We're finished now. It's a bit more dramatic here in this quote than in my example, but it's okay. And that is all. It's very short. And my last mission for James and the Giant Peach. James sang a whole song introducing all of the creatures. Remember when he was explaining to the fire department and police department that none of the creatures were dangerous? Which was your favorite and why? So which creature character was your favorite? You cannot say James. I want you to choose one of the different insects and tell me why that that character was your favorite and why. Okay? Good. Don't forget your name, class, and week. So now, it is time for review and self-study. This is for your contextual mastery. Review all the phrases again. Read it out loud, your turn. And why don't you just reread the last part, because you have to anyways when you have to do your novel homework, which is the next part up there. It says complete your novel homework. I'm so glad that you joined me this week. Thank you for reading James and the Giant Peach with me this time, and I can't wait to get to the next novel with you guys in our next video. Thank you for joining, and I'll see you guys next week.